What is an experience you had with a retail worker you'll never forget? 1. I once bought an onion. Usually I buy a 1 kilogram bag of onions, but on this day I just decided to buy one. I had many other groceries also. When the supermarket attendant weighed the onion, the weight was found to be 2 kilograms and the onion was about $5. I said, that can't be right, your scales are wrong. She said, I'll check the price. Price check fruit and veg weighting. Eventually she said, no, it's correct. Onions are $4.20 per kilogram, so it's scanning correctly. I said, yes, that's not the problem. The problem is one onion does not weigh 2 kilograms. She was utterly confused. No, it does. And then the price is $4.20 a kg, so that's why it's $5. I asked her if she ever had to pay $5 for an onion. And surely she could see that an onion couldn't weigh that much? She really didn't get it. I had to go back into the store and find a 1 kilogram bag of onions to explain it to her. Then she said, since it's cheaper to get a bag of them, why don't you just buy a bag? Face palm. I said, yes I could. But that won't fix your scales. You've weighed this onion 3 times now and every time it weighs 2 kilograms, so you'll need to get the scales checked no matter what I buy. She said it's fine, don't worry about it. Suddenly it occurred to me. I asked, hang on, how much were the bananas I just bought? She answered $78.30. Oh shoot, the scales must be wrong. Yes they are, I muttered. Never been at the register for so long. 2. Right after I gave birth to my daughter, I developed postpartum depression. I was so depressed, I sought help and my therapist said I needed a hobby. I started to read as it was something I could do anywhere. My husband got me a Nook that I hadn't used in months. So, I started reading and got joy from it. A few weeks later, the Nook stopped working. It wouldn't even turn on. I tried everything it said to troubleshoot the issue online. So I decided to go into Barnes Noble as it is their device. Maybe they could help me. The saleswoman who helped said there was nothing they could do as it was past the warranty. The only thing I could do was purchase another one. Unfortunately, I didn't have the funds to do so. I lost it and started crying. This was the one thing I looked forward to every day. I read to myself and to my daughter when she was crying. I was devastated. As I was walking out of the store crying, the saleswoman stopped me. She said she could tell how upset I was and how I was struggling. She shared her story about having postpartum depression with me. She also gave me a new Nook as she felt I genuinely needed it. It was a gift from her. I will never forget her random act of kindness, her support, her empathy, and her compassion she showed me. I was just another shopper at Barnes Noble, but she made me feel loved. 3. Placed a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread on the belt and wasn't paying attention until the cashier asked for $74.88. That's not right, I said, but the cashier, a lanky kid not older than 19, held out his hand waiting for the cash. Have you ever had a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread come to $74.88 before? The kid stared at me dumbfounded that I'd asked such a silly question. These were the days before scanners when the cashier had to input the prices based on whatever was stamped on the item. I read the prices aloud and asked him if that added up to $74.88. It must, he said. That's what it came to. I stood there for a moment uncertain if I wanted to shake him out of his stupor or if I just needed to abandon the bread and milk. Can you cancel the order and try it again? I asked. I think something is wrong. He asked if I needed to talk to the manager, but I said, no, and asked him to retry the numbers. He pressed the keys on his cash register, looked up the taxes to add in and came up with a total $4.82. He bagged my bread and gave me the receipt before hitting the cash register and saying, this thing isn't working right. 4. When I was 18 I lived in Alaska with my 18-month son. His father and I had recently separated and he was not contributing to the household. Money was very tight and Christmas was approaching quickly. Growing up we always had a Christmas tree and I really wanted to continue the tradition with my son. On Christmas Eve my parents sent me $50. I went to Michael's hoping that I could find decorations and still be able to get my son a gift. I found this little 3-foot tree on display that was marked down to $35. It had a bunch of ornaments on it, and all the ornaments are priced. At the register she rang up the tree. I then asked her to take off the ornaments because I couldn't afford them. She looked at me and said she'd charge me $20 for everything. I was able to still get my son a gift with the money left. This was one of my first lessons as an adult on grace and kindness. This was over 15 years ago and I think about this situation often, even more so during the holidays. I'm not sure if this cashier knew how much her actions changed my whole Christmas season and shaped holidays to come. Since this time the Christmas trees have gotten bigger with gifts under it without concern. I will always be most proud of that little tree with my little boy on the particular Christmas day. 5. I went to Tampa, Florida on business in 1990. Since I had a day off in the middle and it was my birthday, to boot, I decided to treat myself to a day in Walt Disney World. Through a series of events which doesn't matter to this story, I had to switch hotel rooms on that day anyway, so I brought my bags down to the bell desk and went on my merry way. When I returned the bags were gone. Nobody could find them. I had to look business presentable the next day by 1:00 so. After a thorough search, a hotel representative drove me to a department store called Moss Brothers. Sadly, it does not exist anymore. We walked into the menswear department and I explained my predicament. The sales lady had me stand with arms out and legs slightly spread while 3 clerks measured me simultaneously. She even went so far as to ask, discreetly, boxers or briefs? The girls then fanned out into the store and returned with a couple of choices each for pants, shirt and tie. I went into the change room, put on the clothes and came out, wearing my selection. One lady snipped off the tags and a second took them and rang up the purchase, which the hotel rep paid. It felt like being in a race car with a pit crew. I think the whole operation didn't take 10 minutes from arrival, in a dirty t-shirt and shorts, to departure in business attire. And yes, the hotel did give me a cash compensation for the lost luggage. 6. Once at Walmart I was shopping for bath towels. I unfolded one to fully check the pattern and size, then refolded it and carefully placed it back on the shelf. I probably did this 3 or 4 times before an employee came over and said, "I just wanted to shake your hand." I've never seen a customer refold a towel before. 7. I was at a shoe store looking for a sandal. My mom was at another all looking for shoes. A guy working there asked me if I needed help. I showed him the sandal and said I'm looking for a size that fits me. He got a few boxes from the back room and said one of these should fit. I was sitting on a bench and reached for one of the sandals. He said it's okay. He'll help me try them on. He took my sock off and put the first sandal on my foot and it was a bit tight. He took it off and reached for the next sandal. Then he licked the bottom of my foot and put the sandal on. I froze and didn't know what to do or say. Then my mom showed up and asked me if I found a sandal. I told her no. I took the sandal off and put my socks and shoes on, and we walked out of the store. I'll never forget that experience.